Jai Shri Krishna. Welcome to the Kurals, Kumud Ravi and Lalitha's 2020 Navratri celebrations. While we have the pleasure of inviting you to our virtual Golu display, we also present to you Krishna Leela, the stories of Krishna that describe the mystical ways of Lord Krishna as part of this year's theme. Krishna, as one of the avatars of Vishnu, has been perceived, described, and experienced in multiple ways. From being a nutcut prankster in his childhood, being loved by his friends and the Gopikas, being a warrior and a kingmaker, and most importantly, being a spiritual guide, providing us with the path of dharma, bhakti, and moksha for all of the humankind through the Gita. He is perhaps the most versatile, sophisticated of all the avatars. Through this presentation, we bring you some of the stories of Krishna and some amazing musical compositions that have been inspired by Sri Krishna. How does one even begin to describe Krishna? This musical composition by Vallabhacharya, rendered by Subbalakshmi, attempts to describe Krishna.
Adharam madhuram vadanam madhuram nayanam madhuram hasitam madhuram hridayam
The first set of Golu dolls depicts Krishna's childhood in Mathura and Gokul. Ugrasena was a prominent chief of the Yadava community in Mathura. His ambitious and ruthless son, Kamsa, imprisoned his father to grab power. At the wedding of Devaki, Kamsa's sister to Vasudeva, another local chief, a divine voice proclaimed, "The eighth born child of your sister will slay you." Kamsa, concerned with the turn of events, house arrests Devaki and Vasudeva and kills 6 of their newly born children. Vasudeva manages to smuggle the 7th Balarama and hands it over to his other wife Rohini and replaces the baby with a stillborn. Now, the angry Kamsa imprisons the couple in a real prison and appoints Putana to guard it. On Janmashtami, Putana takes a small break and she heads back home. She is unable to make it back sooner to the prison given the torrential rain. As baby Krishna is born, Vasudeva's shackles in the prison are released. As you see in the display, through the divine intervention, the flooding Yamuna river gives way, and Vasudeva takes baby Krishna to Gokula across the river. Krishna becomes the Nandalala of Yashoda, who had just delivered a baby girl. Vasudeva swaps the newborn baby girl from Gokula, and she takes Krishna's place in the prison. Kamsa, worried about the prophecy, flings the newborn baby into the sky, and Akashavani proclaims, "Your slayer is elsewhere." Kamsa then sends Putana, the infant killer, to Gokula to eliminate the newborn who was to be his killer. Putana, dressed as a lovely woman, picks up baby Krishna to breastfeed him and kill him, for she had smeared poison on her breast. Instead, the divine baby Krishna suckles the life out of Putana and gives her moksha. This is what you see in the next set of dolls. Cheta Sri Balakrishnam, composed by Dikshitar, rendered by Sanjay Subramaniam, describes this little Krishna and Putana Samharam beautifully. Krishna grows up to be a mischievous prankster. He starts to not only steal butter from his own home, but also from his neighbors' homes. Yashoda and the neighboring gopis hang the butter pots so high up, far from Krishna's reach. But Krishna and his friends really don't care. They form a human pyramid and steal the butter again, much to the dismay of the gopis. You see this scene beautifully portrayed in these next set of dolls. This is something that's actually celebrated even today in the form of the Dahi Handi celebration on every Krishna Janmashtami. Navanita Chora Nandasa Kishora in Ganamurte, but Tyagaraja describes the scene beautifully.
Krishna Venu Ganandola Tribhuvana Pala Pahi Ganamurte Navanita Chora Navanita Chora Navanita Chora Naldasa Kishora Navanita Chora Naldasa Kishora Narami.
Yashoda is very upset with Krishna's antics and decides to teach little Krishna a lesson. As you can see in the scene here, she ties this little baby to a heavy grinding mortar as a form of punishment. Krishna drags the grinding stone between two large trees. These trees were indeed demigods, and they, as you can see, are uprooted and in the process liberated. The next scene describes Krishna's Kalinga Nartana. Krishna Gopala, the cowherd, notices that his cows are being poisoned by drinking the river water. Kalia the snake had been spewing its venom and causing havoc. The scene here depicts Krishna taking on Kalia, dancing on the head of Kalia. Kalia, unable to bear the weight of Krishna, decides to leave town. This beautiful rendering of the Kalinga Nartana Tilana by Aruna Sairam of Uttakadu Venkata Iyengar's composition describes the Kalinga Nartana scene exquisitively.
Janandari Adimita Kita Jano Adbhuta Nartana Chitrita Mudrita Vidyata Mudbhavam Adbhutam Adbhut Ahaku Janandari Tataku Janandari Ta. అద్భుత నర్తన చిత్రిత ముద్రిత విద్యత ముద్భవం అద్భుతం అద్భుత తాకు జనందరి తతకు జనందరి తా.
The next set of doll depicts how Krishna protects the villagers by managing to tackle the bull that was attacking them. This bull was sent by Kamsa, again, who had not given up on his attempts to kill Krishna. The bull was possessed by a demon, Arishtashvara, who was again liberated by Krishna. In another of his Leelas, Krishna advocates nature conservancy and asks that the huge offerings to Lord Krishna by the residents of Vrindavan be stopped. And he asked them instead to revere the Govardhan mountain that provided fodder to the cattle. Indra, upset with them, rains fury on Vrindavan. The villagers run to Krishna and seek refuge in him. Krishna grows in size and lifts the Govardhan mountain with his little finger and provides shelter to the villagers for 7 days and 7 nights. Indra then retreats, the rain and the flood recede, and he accepts defeat. This is depicted in this Govardhana Giridhari scene in the next doll display. The composition of Narayana Tirtha, sung by Abhishek Raghuram, pictures this very well.
Govardhana Giridhar, Govardhana Giridhar, Govinda Gokula Bala Paramananda, Govardhana Giridhar, Govinda Gokula Bala Paramananda, Govardhana
As Krishna, Gopala, and his friends take their cattle to graze, they see an animal that looks like a crane with a sharp beak in the lake nearby. This was Kamsa's friend in disguise, Bakasura. Bakasura attacks and swallows Krishna. Bakasura starts to feel a burning sensation in his throat when he tries to swallow Krishna. And he throws up. As Krishna comes out, Bakasura tries to kill Krishna by closing his beak. Krishna breaks Bakasura's beak open and joins his friends. Such is the Leela of Krishna that you see in this next set of dolls. These next two sets of dolls depicts a story from Srimad Bhagavatam, one of the greatest Puranas. Hearing Krishna's music, the gopis, who are the cow-herding girls famous for their unconditional devotion to Krishna, flock around him and together they dance with unbridled joy. Jayadeva's Ashtapadi, Lalita Lavanga by T.M. Krishna describes the longing of Radha, the most beloved of the Gopikas, for Krishna. Let's hear to this.
Lalita Lavanga Lata Parishilana Komala Malaya Samira Madhukara Nikara Karambita Kokila Madhukara Nikara Karambita Kokila Madhukara Nikara Karambita Kokila Kudida Kunja Kutira.
Kamsa, in his next attempt to end Krishna's life, sends an invitation to the brothers Krishna and Balarama to visit Mathura. The brothers are taunted to enter the wrestling ring. The unbeaten wrestlers of Mathura in Kamsa's court are vanquished by the brothers. Right after, as seen in the scene here, Krishna slays Kamsa and restores the kingdom to his granddad Ugrasena. It is said that Kamsa's father-in-law Jarasandha, the king of Magadha, attacked Mathura 17 times thereafter. To save his people, Krishna and the Yadavas decided to move their capital from Mathura to Dwaraka. The next set of dolls show how Krishna stands through thick and thin for those who seek his refuge. Krishna's childhood friend, Sudama's wife, asks Sudama that he visit Lord Krishna in Dwaraka and seek his help given his abject poverty. Sudama, in his torn clothes, packs some rice flakes and visits Krishna in his palace. Krishna rushes to invite Sudama, offers him his throne, his seat, and washes Sudama's feet. Krishna takes the rice flakes from the sheepish Sudama, and the two regale about the glorious days they spent at their Gurukul. Without asking for anything, Sudama returns home to find that his home is transformed and he's blessed with all the riches. Sudama Charitam is one of the most famous stories that underpin many Kathakali dances and boat races. The last set of dolls in this theme depicts Lord Krishna's discourse of the Bhagavad Gita at the Battle of Kurukshetra, where Krishna plays the charioteer to his aunt's son Arjuna the warrior. The Gita is the answer to Arjuna's despondency when he questions the purpose of the war and is overwhelmed by the prospective of killing so many people, many of whom are his friends and relatives. Lord Krishna, through the Gita, guides Arjuna, and through him, us, that one needs to perform one's duty, abide by the Dharma, guiding us through the path of jnana, bhakti, with a view to attaining moksha. Ghantasala's heartful rendition of Gita captures some of this essence.
अशोच्यानव्यशोच्यस्त्वं प्रज्ञावादांश्च भाषसे गतासु न गतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पण्डिताः नानुशोचन्ति पण्डिताः.
During the discourse, Lord Krishna reveals his cosmic self and promises to be back, yug after yug, whenever there is a decline in righteousness and increase in sinfulness. This shloka was immortalized by veteran playback singer Mahendra Kapoor in the series Mahabharata.
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृताम् धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे.
That brings us to the end of this year's Golu theme Shri Krishna Leela. The traditional Padi Golu, as you can see, displays Ganesha, the Shavataras, the Devis, Ardhanarishwara, Vithala, and the Gurus who lead us from darkness to light. I hope you enjoyed our Navratri Golu for 2020. May Lord Sri Krishna and the Devi and Devatas bless us all and guide us through the challenging times of 2020 and make this world a better place.